Dispenser going up. Well, I guess that'll do.
Hey everybody, Uncle Dane here. You guys ask me a lot of questions, whether it be on my Steam group, on Twitter, or in the comment section of my videos. You guys want to know my opinion on a lot of things. I read them all every day and I respond as much as I can, at least to the ones that I feel like I understand. By the way, I use RaiseHUD. 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 RAYSHUD. RaiseHUD. RaiseHUD.tf. Go to RaiseHUD.tf. It's RaiseHUD. RaiseHUD. I really like that you guys ask me questions because it gives me an idea of what you guys would like to hear me talk about in a future video. I usually will join in on the discussion in the comments, but if you ask a really general question about my opinion on a certain weapon or what I think about the viability of a combination of unlocks, I probably won't answer it simply because I want to respond to the comment in a future video. So keep those questions coming. It gives me ideas for subjects to discuss in videos like this one. I use RaiseHUD. A common question I get, and one that seems to be kind of a subject of controversy among the engineer community, is the one I'd like to try and answer in this video. What's the deal with the Jag? Should I use the Jag? Is it worth using over the stock wrench? Some people love the Jag, and others dismiss it as a straight downgrade from the other wrenches in the NG's arsenal. It's been quite the hot topic for a while now, so I will try and explain what I personally think about the Jag and possibly restart up the age-old conversation on the Jag versus the world. So first, let's talk about the stats. According to the description of the Jag, this wrench gives you a 30% faster construction rate at the cost of a 25% damage penalty. Now what it means by faster construction rate is that while you are hitting your building when being placed for the first time, or redeploying it, the building will finish being constructed and ready to go 30% faster than if you were to use any other wrench. And by the way, this doesn't apply to repairing or upgrading. The repair speed is equal to the amount of metal you spend and how fast you swing the wrench, both of which are the exact same as any other wrench besides the Eureka effect. So how much faster is 30%? Well, according to the TF2 wiki, when you are constantly hitting your building with a wrench, it will speed up the build process by 90%. When comparing the build time with the Jag and any other wrench, the Jag will construct a sentry gun 0.75 seconds faster, and a dispenser and teleporter 1.5 seconds faster. Now, I don't know about you guys, but 0.75 seconds doesn't sound like an entire 30%. Well, that's because it's not. The Jag's 30% increase in construction rate adds to the 90% that is already applied when hitting a building, so because of the way math works, the construction rate of any building being hit with the Jag is actually increased by about 16% instead of 30. So basically, the Jag is broken. And not in the way the lock and load is broken, the bad kind of broken, meaning it doesn't do what the stats claim it can do. 0.75 seconds isn't exactly the most impactful time difference, especially since a very common time to be constructing a building is when you aren't under any intensely strict schedule, like during setup time. This means that the Jag's only upside really isn't an upside at all. It's a tiny drop in the ocean of chaos that is the TF2 Warzone, and 0.75 seconds might add up to mean something over time, but down to the individual moments, it really doesn't count for anything worth noticing. Comparatively, an engineer using the Southern Hospitality is affecting the flow of game by being able to track down cloaked spies easier with the bleed on hit upside. Hell, even the Eureka effect affects the engineer's playstyle immensely by being able to teleport back to spawn. The time spent walking and slowly upgrading your buildings has a much larger effect on the game in the moment than 0.75 extra seconds can. Now, if we look at the downside for the Jag, a 25% damage penalty doesn't seem like much on paper, but in practicality, 48 damage per swing as opposed to 65 damage can mean a lot when dealing with light classes. The main light class that an engineer is going to smack with a wrench is the Spy, a 125 health class that you will often find snooping around your buildings. So doing the super complicated math here, 65 plus 65 equals 130 damage, which is enough to kill a full health Spy in just 2 hits. With the Jag, 48 plus 48 equals 96, which means you'll need to swing that wrench one more time to kill a full health Spy. If you've ever been face stabbed or matador stabbed, you'll know that you typically want to spend as little time as possible within melee range of a Spy, so that extra swing can mean the difference between being dead and alive. Now, before you go deleting your Jag from your backpack, hear me out for a bit longer because I actually do have some good things to say about this wrench. On the topic of the damage penalty, the Jag can actually kill spies efficiently. The only reason this is possible, however, is Lord Gaben's gift to mankind, random critical hits. Now, believe it or not, random crits are not completely random. There is an increase in percentage for crit chances based on how much damage you recently did in a short amount of time, as well as a naturally increased chance of critical hits when using a melee weapon. For the Engineer's Wrench, you kind of get the best of both worlds on this feature. It's a melee weapon, and it gains the percentage bonus from recent damage done, and yes, this includes the damage done by your sentry. Specifically, the recent damage scale goes from 0 to 800 damage, which corresponds to 0 to 45% increase in chance for a critical hit. A melee weapon, in our case a wrench, has a naturally high critical hit chance of 15%. This means that if you do 800 damage in a 20-second time frame, your wrench will have a 60% chance of landing a critical hit. Now, if you've ever battled against a Togekiss, you'll know that 60% pretty much means 100%. You are very likely to get a critical hit with the Jag. This means that provided your sentry gun is actively doing work, the measly 3 hits to kill a spy will most likely be a 1-hit KO with 146 damage. So basically, in public servers where random crits are enabled, the Jag's downside isn't really a downside. You just have to rely on constant damage output to effectively negate the damage penalty, which isn't very hard to do with a sentry gun. From a competitive standpoint, yes, the Jag's downside is actually kind of a big deal when dealing with spies. Pub spies are pretty easy to avoid as far as getting trick stabbed, but in a competitive setting, spies mean business, and it's always going to be a risk getting within melee range of a spy. Their melee weapon can do 600 damage, yours does 48. Not a very good matchup. So what can the Jag be used for? Well, nowadays I use it for when I want to play aggressive level 2 or level 3 sentries. This loaded is one that I like to use when I feel like shotgunning people down, but with a more supportive sentry with a lot more defense to it than a mini sentry. For instance, when I want to push the cart. The infinite supply of metal essentially allows you to build infinitely, so I like to take advantage of the indestructible mobile dispenser and quickly build level 1 or level 2 sentries around the cart while it moves through the enemy defenses. The Jag comes in handy for this tactic because of the ability to redeploy buildings that much more quickly. Moving that gear up under pressure is slightly faster with the Jag, and if you're using a shotgun, you won't have to be meleeing spies as much. Just shoot them. But in the end, this is more of an alternative playstyle. It's certainly not the only use for the Jag. You could very well run this wrench 24/7, and I personally wouldn't condemn you for it. In fact, for the first 2 years of playing Engineer, I only used my strange Jag. I only switched to the stock about 8 months ago because I was applying for UGC Highlander teams, and in competitive servers, random crits are disabled. And also, I have an Australian wrench. It's so pretty. How could I not use it? It's so shiny. In conclusion, the Jag gets a lot of hate thrown at it for multiple reasons. The first complaint being the weapon's upside is technically broken and it doesn't do what its stats claim it does. Although if it did actually construct buildings 30% faster like it's supposed to, you could deploy a sentry 1.5 seconds faster. Then would it be worth it? It's hard to say. I personally don't think it would matter. You know, if it were up to me to redesign the Jag with the same concepts in mind, I would simply change the upside from increased construction time to increased swing speed. This would make it so that it can not only deploy buildings faster, but also upgrade and heal buildings faster. Would it be balanced? I have no idea, but I know that it would make a lot more of an effect on gameplay versus the stock wrench than the current Jag does. The other problem people have with the Jag is that it can't 2-hit kill a spy. But you'll notice that the only NGs who really complain about it are the NGs who mainly play in a competitive setting. I love playing competitive TF2, so I completely understand the reasoning behind not using the Jag in Highlander, but I am also a pub NG at heart. My roots are 24/7 Dust Bowl all day, every day, baby. That kind of chaos is what the core of TF2 experience is all about. So when I switched from the Jag to the stock wrench, I noticed literally no difference at all. I didn't feel like I was dying less to spies. I didn't feel like I was building sentries slower. In my opinion, the Jag isn't an upgrade or a downgrade. It's a side grade. The most bland side grade in the game, honestly. If anything, you could just use it over the stock wrench simply because you think it looks cool. Because really, it is the more awesome looking of the wrenches, although it really doesn't make sense that a wrench with a super sharp edge on it would do less damage. Like, how does that do 25% less damage? I don't get it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think of the Jag in the comments. I absolutely love reading what you guys think, and don't forget, I have a Steam group. The link is in the description. I'm Uncle Dane, the NG main, and I will see you nieces and nephews next time. Bye-bye. I use Raise HUD, RaiseHUD.tf. It's the most commonly used HUD in Team Fortress 2 for the